Hi, I'm Mokoso, and I'm your host for the hashtag Share My Experience podcast.
"This is the last time I'm going to take this from you," she said to him, and he gave her a sheepish grin that slowly gave way to a smile that showed off his dimples. She could never resist it when he smiled. It softened his face and made him look younger than his actual age. Involuntarily, she smiled back and quickly tried to stop herself. Unsuccessfully though, because when he saw her smile waning, he tickled her, and out of nowhere she collapsed into his arms in fits of uncontrollable laughter. And just like that, it was all forgotten. She had been hanging out at the beach with her friends, having a great time, and just when they were all packing up to leave, he had called her. They had had a quarrel and hadn't spoken for a few days, so that call was like ice water to a desert traveler. So when he asked her to come over, she didn't hesitate. After the call, she looked up from her phone to where her best friend was sitting to find her slowly rolling a mat up and looking at her knowingly. She smiled and shrugged and winked at her friend, letting her know without speaking. You know the drill. Her best friend rolled her eyes and put her finger in her mouth, mimicking a gag. As she drove on the road leading to his estate, she called him to alert the security to let her in. Even though she had come here frequently enough, and all the security guards knew her and recognized her car, they'd never let her in without express instructions from him. The phone rang and he picked up and said he was on his way. So she parked at the side of the road to wait for him. She waited and waited. And almost 2 hours later, she was not only angry at him, but upset with herself for being a fool again. He had done similar things like this, which clearly showed that he had no respect for her time. And every time, she would vow this would be the last time that she would let him treat her like this. She had contemplated leaving so many times, but she just couldn't get herself to. They hadn't seen or spoken to each other in days, and she couldn't bear to extend it any further, now that he had been the one to reach out to her for a change. And besides, she was already here. What's the point? When he eventually showed up just before 1 a.m., she was tired and sullen. He apologized and claimed that he was about to leave a bar where he had been having drinks with his friends when he ran into a business partner, and they ended up talking for longer than he wanted. Why he couldn't just tell her the truth was beyond her. It was frustrating what he did to her. She knew that she deserved someone who would treat her better. He treated her like a child and had no respect for her time. But she loved him, even though her best friend would beg to differ. In her opinion, she'd misinterpreted deep gratitude for love. She had met him when she was 19 years old. She and her mother had just moved into the area and she was going back to school. He offered her a ride, and the rest is history. 3.5 years and 2 breakups later, they were back in a cycle that never seemed to end. He was 15 years older than her and called her his Smolly, even though she hoped that he would marry her any day soon. If she was being honest, that's why she kept breaking up with him, hoping that he would miss her so strongly that he would realize that she was what he needed in his life. Not all those women he was secretly running around with. Oh, she knew all about them, but never had the guts to confront him. He took her for granted and she knew it, but he was the one she wanted. She couldn't see herself with anyone else. She just wished that he felt the same way. But whenever she threw a tantrum or said it was over, he often just left her alone. She would grieve and cry and stalk him a little, but he simply just went on with his life as if nothing had changed. Only on very few occasions would he call her, usually when he was inebriated, like tonight. He wasn't a bad person. Granted, he could be more than a little mean at times, but weren't all guys. He was smart and funny and very generous. He had taken good care of her mother and her over the years and gave her everything that she needed to live a good life. Well, everything except what she wanted: a family. Sometimes he joked about his girlfriends, and even though it hurt, she tried not to let him see. She hated it when he called her a baby or told her that she was acting childish. She always wanted to appear grown up and sophisticated like the women that she knew that he cheated on her with. If only he'd see me differently and appreciate all the effort that I make to be the kind of woman he says he needs, she often said. She had learned to be obedient and knew how he hated it when she argued with him, so she tried not to. Previously, her tears would stop him in his tracks when he was upset, but now he just got mean when she cried, often grabbing her and shouting at her to stop crying. So she tries not to cry in front of him. He had had a difficult childhood too. His mother had died after he was born from pregnancy complications, and it was painful for his father to have him around. So he was raised by relatives, often bounced around from one home to another. He had told her all about it, and these are things that he never told anyone. So she knew his secrets and he knew hers. Why couldn't he just see that she was the best woman for him? They had been through so much together. In her eyes, they were perfect for each other. Instead, he just kept on being disrespectful, ignoring her for weeks on end, only calling her when he was drunk, hurt, or lonely. She deserved better than this, didn't she? But she couldn't seem to walk away. One night, after she'd just gotten her master's degree in creative design, all thanks to his encouragement and financial support, and his belief in her creative abilities, he told her, "I want to give you the world." You see, words like this made her believe that he loved her, even though he actually had never said it, at least not in recent times. But she knew. Then why couldn't she get rid of the niggling feeling that he was just stringing her along and didn't really see a future with her? He was obsessed with her being a good mother to his daughter, a toddler that he had had with a long-time girlfriend that had ended the year that they had met. He said he didn't want any more children, so she had to take care of any accidents that happened whenever they were together. That's another reason she couldn't leave. He knew where all the bodies were buried, literally. And besides, she couldn't imagine starting over with someone else and perhaps even needing to confess any past sins that could affect her future. No, absolutely not. This was where she needed to be. I just need to make him see that, she thought. I wish he'll change and just stop acting like he hated women. Of course, he denied this every time she brought it up, saying, after all, he had a daughter, so how could he hate women? But she knew deep down that she was right. She knew it by the way he treated his daughter's mother, who detested him, by the way, and also the disdain that he reserved and displayed towards his stepmother, and of course, the way he treated her. He tended to be dismissive whenever she had an opinion, especially one that was contrary to his. She stopped talking about the things that he didn't like and didn't talk about the things that bothered her, because she would see him literally zone out when she's trying to explain her feelings, and nothing positive ever came out of those moments. It certainly appeared that he wanted her to just look pretty, be quiet, and listen more than she talked to him. Deep down inside, she knew her relationship was less than healthy, perhaps even toxic by some standards. But she couldn't see herself with anyone but him. Her father had died when she was a baby, and her mother raised her by herself. She had never really known the love of a man, and in spite of all his rough edges, he truly loved her, she believed, somewhere, deep down inside. I just need to keep him happy, make him proud of me, and keep loving him harder until he makes me his wife. Then everything will be perfect and would live happily ever after.
And here's the afterword.
Looking for love and attention and fulfillment in others can be very disappointing. More often than not, we all carry around one form of trauma or the other. Daddy issues are real, but there's absolutely no need to use daddy issues as a term of ridicule for those who may have them. They are commonly formed in teenage years, and common signs of this is a fear of being alone. Young women with daddy issues are usually interested in older men. They are clingy, possessive, and protective, and usually constantly demanding assurance of love and devotion. They usually attract and are attracted to abusive partners and view sex as a way to keep them. Their self-esteem is usually built through regular sexual interactions with them. That's such a wrong foundation. A father complex is usually as a result of a poor or non-existent relationship with a father. People with daddy issues tend not to love themselves enough or love themselves the wrong way. This inevitably affects every relationship they have, be it familial, romantic, friendly, or professional. The first step in overcoming these issues is to reframe your view on self-love. It's important to first love yourself, and that will show you how to accept love from others. A key scripture that I've found that will help with this is 1 John 3:1. It says, "See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God." And that is what we are. If you understand that you are loved by the God of the universe, who in himself is love, that is the first step towards understanding what love is and knowing what to expect from others. If you find yourself in a relationship where the love you receive is questionable, then I suggest looking up the attributes of love and comparing them to your present reality. According to 1 Corinthians 13:4-5, love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it's not proud, it doesn't dishonor others, it's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. If you and your friend or your partner or your family are not actively pursuing and cultivating this type of love, you most certainly should. I love you, and I'm praying for you.